Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. And we want to talk for the first time to TinOne Resources, and Chris Donaldson, the CEO, is here with us. Good morning to Canada. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. Fantastic thing, as it's the first time that you are with us. And also I have to disclose that I'm a shareholder in the company. And happy shareholder also because I'm a big believer in tin. And I found it really interesting what you guys are doing, especially where you are doing that in Tasmania. How did you come on Tasmania?
Well, no, tin's an interesting market, and we've got kind of an interesting story. We've got these projects in Tasmania and in Australia, and we were able to acquire them. We're part of the Inventa Capital Group, and that's headed by Craig Perry, who's an Australian. And I'm sure many of your viewers know Craig. He's had a lot of success with companies, ISO Energy and NextGen, which he founded, and he's the chairman of TinOne Resources, and now Visa Silver is probably our flagship company. So he had some contacts in Australia, and over the last 5 years, they've been putting together a package of properties and kind of waiting for the time for tin to do its thing, and which we saw last year, and so we listed and have been moving, specifically one of the projects forward.
Okay, super. And I saw also on 11th October, but also on the 6th of September, you guys brought out some drill results. Yeah, it looked like that they are very good. Can you elaborate a bit on that? Because one might think like 0.45% tin over 15 meters, 0.5% tin, is that high? Low? Are you satisfied?
Yeah, no, we're extremely pleased. And that's one thing about the tin market is it's not well understood. So, probably the easiest way to looking at grades is to compare it to copper, and roughly multiply the grades by 3 or 4 times. So for us, though, the one property that we have is that we're doing the most work on is Great Pyramid, and it has a historical resource on it of 10,000 tons at 0.2% tin, which is a very good grade. It's just a bit small. So, it would be open pit. So this is from surface down to about 40 meters. So our goal with our drilling campaign, we're doing about 5,000 meters. We have results now for a little over half. The goal was to reconfirm the historical resource and also try to expand on it. And so, so we've had 2 sets of results come out. The highlight was 78 meters at 0.51%. So that's 2.5 times the historical grade, which is fantastic, including 23 meters at a percent, over 1%. So fantastic, and achieving all the goals so far that we want. But those drill holes are particularly exciting because it's outside of the historical resource on that. So we're expanding it. We're finding new zones and getting higher grades. So we're definitely on track.
Super. On track is always nice to hear. What depths have you been so far?
Yeah, like I said, 90% of the historical grade or resource is from surface, right from surface down to 40 meters. So we've been drilling below and happy to be getting some mineralization down at depths of about 150 meters or so. So quite a bit below the historical resource there. So we're drilling laterally as well as deeper.
Okay, super. To what depth extension do you think you can drill? Because I saw in the press release there was a limit of drilling up to 300 meters below surface in the historical sense.
Yeah,
why was there a limit?
Well, it's expensive.
So that's really easy. Yeah.
It's expensive to do that. Having said that, we do have some targets that are quite a bit deeper that start. We did some gravity surveys and have an IP anomaly that starts at about 250 meters and it goes down below detection. So towards the end of our program, so in the next couple of months, we'll do a couple of deeper holes into that IP and see if it happens to be tin bearing. And if it is, it'll be a bit of a game changer for us. But it could be a hunk of pyrite. We'll find out when we do that deeper drilling. But right now we don't need to go that deep yet. So for us, it's more prudent to go down 150, 200 meters in and around the historical resource.
Super. So maybe too early to say, but would that be in the future like open pittable?
Yeah, because it's at surface on that. So I
Exactly.
mean, and if you're looking at comparing grades, so a grade that would hold for an underground you'd probably want around 1%, but for open pit, at 0.2 is very good grade.
Fantastic. I saw also in a press release that said that was on 11th October, like good 2 weeks ago. You had drilled 2,827 meters of your ongoing 5,500 meter drilling. So where are we today? Over 2,900, 3,000 already?
Yeah, so I mean, those are the results that have come in. I think we're getting close to 4,000 meters actually drilled. We have one drill remaining. At one point, we had 3 going, and so we'll be done our current drilling in probably the next 6 to 8 weeks. I'll have a better answer for you next week. I'm heading down actually to site down to Tasmania. There's a conference in Sydney, and then we're going to hop over and check out the properties and kind of decide how much drilling or if we have enough right now to update the resource.
Okay. Update the resource. That's something I like to hear.
Yeah.
So when do you think you could do that? Then finally you have to decide after when you have been there, or is it something which you are anyhow planning for next year for sure?
Yeah, so I mean, we're planning for it. So the decision will be, I mean, the goal that we have right now is to get it up to close to 30,000 tons at 0.2%. And why that amount is there was a project out of Australia that was sold about 18 months ago, and it was called Taronga. And First Tin bought that. They bought it for just under $40 million, and it was at that time about 30,000 tons at 0.18, actually, so a little bit lower grade. And for us, if we can get into that range, that should underpin the value of the company. And for us, 40 million or so doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you're sitting at a 7 million market cap right now, that's six times more than where we're at. So I think that would be a good start. So if we need to do a little more drilling to get into that range, we will, but I think we're going to be pretty close.
That's interesting that you are mentioning First Tin. That's really funny because I've been in August on a site visit in Eastern Germany at First Tin.
Yeah. So and they've done an excellent job. I mean, certainly on the getting the tin story out there. They've done fantastic work. But we both share a narrative that we're trying to find tin resources in good jurisdictions, and Jochen, that's kind of the backdrop of the tin story, is that 80% of the tin around the world comes from China and Myanmar, Indonesia. And there's a narrative out there that the Teslas of the world care about where they're getting the supply of for these battery companies, and there are very, very few in North America. There's almost none. There's some in Australia, and of course the ones you mentioned in the UK and Germany. So we're ticking a lot of the boxes here. It's the forgotten battery metal. We're in a good jurisdiction, and we're having good drill results. So all we need now is the tin price to slide back to where it was 8 months ago, but I think at some point it will.
Yeah, I think the supply-demand gap will help us here next year for sure a lot, because we need more and more tin with the electrification of this world, with the e-mobility, all those kind of things. And so from that perspective, I think you're on the right metal and the right markets. Do you have like tin only, or do you have also found byproducts? Which would make sense.
Nothing really substantial at this point. One of our other properties had a bit of tungsten coming out, but no, our focus is on tin at this point.
Okay, then let's say Australia is a big country. Tasmania is even also big as a county, I would call it.
Island.
Island, in that sense. But it belongs to Australia. But the question for me is, what does look like the infrastructure for your project? Meaning, I'm getting the understanding that in the future there shall be a mine there because this world needs your tin supply also in the future. So what does your infrastructure already look like?
Yeah, so when we acquire any projects, or we have a lens on the project. Is you can have a great deposit, but if it can never be built, then
Mhm.
it's not something that we're interested in. So in this area, I mean, first of all, Tasmania is an area that has produced a lot of tin. It continues to. Metals X is one of the big producers on the island there, and where our projects are in an area that historically was used for forestry, and it's still zoned for future commercial production. So
Mhm.
in terms of access, it's very good. There are roads. I drove right on top of the Great Pyramid, and we didn't have to get any kind of permits because there's all these crosscuts, and so we're able to get drill pads in everywhere to drill. So in terms of location, it's very good. Our other property, Aberfoyle, actually is produced over 2 million tons. So it has all the infrastructure in place. It's a bit aged right now because they stopped in the mid 80s. But yeah, we're in a very good area, and they've been in the last couple of years, Tasmania has been very trying to attract workers and industry back, and so they've been
Mhm.
very supportive.
Fantastic. Drilling costs money, of course, and I know you guys did a successful raise also during the summer. So,
Yep.
what is cash in the bank? Meaning, are you financed for this year and for next year?
I mean, everything always depends on how much drilling you do. So you can always use more money, but we just did a raise. We raised over $2 million. We already had $1 million and a bit. So I think we've got today in the bank about $3 million. As I said, we're just wrapping up our first round of drilling, and then we'll have still be in a good position. We'll have to decide how much more to do. But right now, if we were to go straight to updating the resource, we would have enough funds to carry us through that process
Mhm.
and do met testing and the like.
Fantastic. Um, Other question, as you have a historical resource already, have they also done historic metallurgical testing? Meaning, as I always say, you can have the best project, the best rock, but if you do not get the metal out of the rock, you have a problem. So,
Yeah,
what does it look like with your experiences so far?
yeah. So no is the answer on this project here.
Mhm.
There are a number of past producing tin projects in the area, so we have a sense of what it will be. But that would be part of the updating the resources, is to look at doing some metallurgical work.
Mhm. Okay, super. So there's a lot upcoming. Who are your largest shareholders and what is management share in the company?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the management and advisors, obviously, we've been fairly vested here. We're early stage, so and this last financing that we did was a bit of a pass the hat for in tougher times. So we're very vested. I think management advisors have about 36%. Um,
36.
36%
Wow, that's a lot.
of the shares
Uh-huh.
out there. So and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of funds yet. We're just too small, or we're too small, and that's part of the goal of this year, is to get up to a certain size where we can start attracting some bigger investments. But at this share price, we don't need to take a big chunk. Part of my goal for our trip is next week in Australia, is to meet with a number of funds and kind of get a sense at what stage they might want to come in, and that would be a goal for next year, is to get some chunkier investments in, and perhaps a strategic.
Oh, okay. Wow, already. Super. Okay, great. That sounds like a game plan, I would say. We look forward to your next drill results also. And yeah, good luck for your trip to Tasmania and Australia.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was a first introduction of TinOne Resources by Chris Donaldson, the CEO of the company. And yeah, as I'm a shareholder of the company, also I was totally convinced about the project. of course, nothing to say about management because we know them all for a long, long time. And it's, again, the Craig Perry quality, I would call it, as I've invested in all these companies and made always money. But tin is something what is really, really, under the radar, not understood by the investor masses, but something what you really need for our new high-tech e-mobility and also renewable energy world. And of course, we do not want to rely on Indonesia, on China or Myanmar. So it's really, really important that we have those resources for the future in safe Western jurisdictions. And TinOne Resources is doing the right thing on the right jurisdiction. So I would suggest that you really check out this fantastic, by now, small company, but I have a very, very good feeling that we will see quite soon some nice rises here because the drill results are fantastic, the company is financed, and they have a lot of potential. So thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.